To introduce Dr. Igok, and he's going to make a little presentation on the Travis Telecommunications Limited, and the products mainly is based on radio systems. So please feel free to ask any questions or whatever, any observations. I think Dr. Igok will be most pleased to attend to all our. So over to you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, how long is the presentation?
I don't think we go through all the slides.
About all the time.
30 to 45 minutes. And depending on the questions. What this presentation is about is this application of emerging security technologies in the large wireless sphere area. So a lot of the telephone discussions and conversations are being made now. Services are no longer signals, but they are packets. So even the major telcos have moved towards wireless and service delivery over the internet. At the same time, very fortuitously probably, we had 9/11 in the US. So there's been a resurgence, a surgence, if you will, of security concerns. And since everything moves in the form of packets these days, so why not video? So video has been transformed from connecting wires and electrical impulses to converting into packets and moving them wirelessly. It's basically the same technology. We now have a convergence of voice, data, video, and it's being applied now towards security and monitoring. I think I'll start out with playing about a 1-minute video of one of the partners here upon the completion of the California Department of Transportation Security Surveillance.
Hands is setting up a network of high-quality surveillance systems to monitor terrorist threats to Baylor bridges and tunnels. We wanted to show you a look at how Homeland Security can benefit from a wireless system that's fast and easy to install. Here's his
vulnerable and possibly over by wireless technology. The Highway Patrol is already monitoring Bay Area freeways to spot and alert drivers for backups and other traffic problems. But Caltrans' new system is considerably more advanced than its traffic cams. It's on base, or Bay Area securing where the cameras are or how sharp the images are. But the network of 250
and with very, very high reliability wireless. That's exactly what we're doing.
This point-to-point wireless system is far more secure than Wi-Fi, the mobile wireless network found in malls, airports, and coffee shops. High-performance wireless can be deployed faster and cheaper than stringing cables. Making these new systems hacker-proof is a top priority of South Bay Congressman Mike Honda, who's on the House Wireless Task Force.
We have the capabilities to protect our cybersystem, our cyberspace, but we have to put the money in it. And that's the part. That's our next step. We have to infuse the money to make sure that the wireless system or the cyber system that we have in place to protect ourselves.
Caltrans wireless surveillance is expected to become a national hub.
So Caltrans absolutely.
Later in the year, a similar system is already in use at Fort Sam Houston in Texas. Carson thinks this wireless technology also has applications for air.
Okay. I think we should stop. Deployments in the United States of the technology. Now, our purpose today is applying the same technology to the protection of national infrastructure, particularly the national oil pipelines and essentially all the petroleum infrastructure that exists, refineries, oil wells, terminals, and so on. That's the outline. I'll try and zip through some of these. But it's important that we establish where we are. What's the background for this? And since I'm not sure about the level of technology of everybody here, the presentation might have more generality than is good for some, and more technology than it is good for others. But there's a handout and my number's there, so you can always refer to my contact me anytime. Questions now. The objective of this presentation is to deploy an integrated system of sensors and other emerging technologies for the protection of national assets and infrastructure, particularly the petroleum pipeline system. Because today the focus is on petroleum infrastructure. As I mentioned earlier, in the last 2 years there's been a great deal of concern about protecting, particularly the oil pipelines and energy pipelines in the US. As a matter of comparison, there's 200,000 miles of pipeline in the US, oil, and 95,000 miles of product, gasoline and so on. Protecting these has been the major concern and focus of the Department of Transportation and the Department of Homeland Security. So it's very serious. Comparatively, because Nigeria, and another aspect, there was a report in the paper in January that Nigeria lost 30 billion naira worth of just oil last year. That does not include other aspects of the economy. The next page is the problem statement. And I like to focus, you're all familiar with all this, so I like to focus on the last two. On this one and this one. Right now, I don't think there is any surveillance system, any monitoring system, any section of the pipelines. And in the United States, there's monitoring of every square foot, every foot of pipeline in the US. Another thing is, domestically that runs into billions of naira a year. So you're not only losing the oil, you're losing products to repair that. Just as an introduction, I put this down and stop here. In this system, you can sit at your desk and monitor every single foot of pipeline, every oil well, every flow of the refinery. Essentially, all our petroleum assets will be monitored from your desktop, from that computer over there. Now, when we say that there's so much free access, you start being concerned. That means anybody can have access to it. There's a lot of encryption and protection that goes to make sure that nobody intercepts the information that's being sent. This page is the operation summary. As it is now, if there is an incident, somebody has to find it. When somebody detects it, he notifies the security person, the military, that something is going on there. But it's usually after the fact, long after the perpetrators are gone. Well, in this deployment, in this technology, the moment somebody walks near that pipeline that should not be there, at the network operating center, whether it's here or in Port Harcourt or Lagos, it lights up on the screen that there is something there. Camera zooms in, takes a picture, and the information is transmitted in a matter of seconds, talking about here, to whatever subnetworks that exist, including the pumped out you see has voice. You can talk into it. So the same technology that sends video, sends the sensors that alert you that there is somebody there, also sends communication. And of course, down to apprehension. Once in a while you hear a lot of people have been rounded up and put in jail. But it's not, I don't think it's a very accurate system, because there are always innocent people involved, but there is no choice about it. In this case, even if the activity is in the dark, pitch black, a mile away, the person's photograph is being taken and recorded and transmitted. So there is zero chance that anybody who wasn't there is going to get picked up. Okay. Now, I think, and you'll forgive me if it is too general, but let me mention a little bit about IP camera, because that's basically the structure that we have up here. Everybody here has a cell phone. Almost everybody has a cell phone. But I think your computer is networked, so you can send email to anybody in the world. You have to have an email address. They have network addresses, internet addresses. And this one here, for example, if you happen to log onto here on the internet, you will see a camera in Houston right now, taking pictures of traffic as well. I didn't have to be here, you could be in China to still watch the same cameras active. So you can imagine what happens if you're sitting here and any place, there's a camera of that nature somewhere along the pipeline network. You see, it's no major thing about it, it's just there. But all this comes with a price. You have to have, which is why it is very pertinent and very appropriate that I make this presentation to this department. You have to have a very good telecommunications network. In short, you have to have internet access. It's not as difficult as it is. I'm sure you have a pretty good system, and later on we'll see just what augmentation you need to make to that system, even, and I'll ask you what your plans are and so on. But basically that's it. You need integrated telecom system. However, fortunately, so you don't have to worry about going to lay fibers or anything of that nature yet. The system that we have here comes with very high capacity wireless radio systems. Okay, now this is where the question starts. Please correct me if what I have here is incorrect. This is right. I assume there isn't any surveillance system yet on the pipeline.
There is.
There is?
There is.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, the surveillance system we have is it's Okada, to use the local parlance. You move from point to point on Okada.
Okay, so good question. I said technical video surveillance system. Okay. And, well, equipped in fiber. But I also think that deployment is not continuous, is it? There are some. Okay. And you also have some microwave radios that comes with that. But I think they cover areas that are not connected to fiber.
That's correct.
Now, so that's the start off. One thing I left off here was the satellite. The satellite, I didn't know whether to put it on the backup or primary systems, but whichever way it may be. Satellite acts as a backup system. Now, please correct me, I don't have any information on this, but I'm not sure how old they are and what the bandwidth is. But knowing satellite systems, even trying to send internet, access the internet is very temperamental. So I assume it probably is not more than 128 or 64 or even 32 kilobits per second.
About that.
About that. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. At this rate, it's completely unsuitable for motion video transmission. At best, the best you can hope for is still video. That is, you can just send one snapshot. All right. Now, redundancy systems. Redundant systems is if the primary and secondary system fail, what you have to fall back on. I don't think that there's any redundancy. Okay. And SCADA systems are very flexible, and you can put a lot of things on it. But I think you only have it on the gas pipelines and not on the oil pipelines. Later on, I'll ask, maybe you can tell me what your upgrade plan, because you definitely need to upgrade your system.
Before you go, microwave radios, backup, we have the satellite stations. In the case of the US,
Yes.
I believe it's US we're talking about. The one you have as a redundancy system.
Okay. There are actually 3 systems. For fully functional, for fully operational systems, there are actually 3. Alaska pipelines. There's a lot of fiber, but some of those places are so isolated, it just doesn't make sense to have fiber. So you resort to radio. It's actually very good. Later on, you see the quality of radios we have now, but exists. One of the partners was involved in installing those, the Alaska pipelines. And backup system is usually radio. Then some of the companies have satellite, because you can do a lot of things with satellite, even though you can't transmit video. And you can play around with video a little bit, but it's not recommended. You can send your sensor data, other forms of data through the satellite. But now you're asking about the redundancy system. This system can use your cell phone signals, to send information. That is, let's take Nigeria for instance. If your fiber fails and there's a harmattan and you cannot use your radio because of line of sight requirement, you can always use your cell signals through the system. So essentially, at all times, you have eyes. Okay. I hope that answered the question. Okay. Okay. I won't spend a lot of time on this. This just describes, legacy means what usually happens in the past or in what is currently going on. In Abuja and most places, surveillance by analog CCTV, closed circuit television. Okay. Essentially almost all parts of Nigeria. That's in the US, for that matter. You really don't have a lot of recording capability. I mean, you can watch, but you can't record. Okay. And there's no remote sensing. And since there's a lot of reliance on fiber, the surveillance system itself is as vulnerable as the infrastructure is meant to protect. And let's see what we have here. I mentioned the fundamentals of the technology. Mention this, that isolated IP cameras can be monitored and controlled from thousands of miles. So let me stress this again. If somebody goes to jump into your oil well in the middle of the forest, you can see it from Abuja. That's how sophisticated it is. Well, it didn't have to be from Abuja. You can see it from wherever you are in the network. See it from the US if you want it. You had access to the system. And it's a lot of memory requirements for recording this. Aha, locked out again. You can now have terabytes memory capacity for a fraction of what megabyte used to cost like 5 years ago. Terabyte is going to be 12 bytes. So technology has driven prices down significantly. And also, to add to that, essentially limitless, because you can have, how many people know what jukeboxes are? Okay, it's a jukebox. Those things that have CDs or records on them. Okay. You can have DVD jukeboxes set up at your control center or taking pictures of them. Let me say that again. If you only have certain portions of the person's face, let's say leaves covered part of his face and nose and so on, you can reproduce his face close enough so there will be no doubt who he was.
Yeah, don't go yet.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir, you're taking the composite parts of the person's face to make up a whole.
Yes. I mean, let's the camera is bulletproof, explosion proof, and so on. You can see
Yes,
the
those are
dark.
the areas.
You can see the dark from a mile away. Dark means dark from a mile away. Okay. And okay, this is supposed to be a problem because supposing somebody's in the bush and is darting back and forth. But it's most of it there's leaves and everything. Okay. There's a facial reproduction technology that will produce his face.
There are identical twins.
I mean, you wouldn't tell the color of his eyes when you have those things. But you know.
Now,
Yes.
in the case of pipeline,
Yes.
we have hundreds of kilometers of pipeline.
Yes.
How do you place these cameras? If I'm going to vandalize the pipeline,
Yes.
I'd rather take the camera away, and you won't be able to get even the sketches of my face.
Later on, there's a section on camera. The question has come, so let me answer. So when I go there, I can tell you. If the person can't identify that as a camera, I will not know that's a camera. I think it's pretty well camouflaged to look like anything, for one thing. Secondly, most people will not know, I'll tell you all that. Most people will not know that if you spray black paint on the lens, it kills that camera. However, that camera will tell you in Abuja, hey, I am dead, somebody's interfered with me. So you can send somebody down within the hour, whatever time it takes, pull that out, fix it. Yes.
No, we're looking at, you don't know how your cameras look like.
Yes.
We're camouflaging the cameras. Then, what is the distance from camera to camera? Or each camera will transmit information to the center.
The camera can transmit its antenna. The camera can transmit an antenna or the radio by where the camera is. That's why it displays quite readily.
Yeah, because what we're talking about now, if you go into our pipeline, where we have the pipeline,
Yeah.
you go into the dark forests, real mangrove forest. And how do you get these things installed? And how do they get the information to the center, the collecting center, to be monitored?
It's later that these questions are very good. Later on, we're going to have the system architecture, but I should answer this again. It makes it a lot easier. We have different kinds of radio transmission. Usually, when you talk about radio, you have your line of your antennas and then what? So, okay, I have line of sight. Okay. Some of these radios have algorithms that are near line of sight technology that you don't have to line the antennas up right, sending and receiving antennas for it to work. However, you'll have to, in your design, in a design of the system, you have to determine how far apart they need to be. Just a matter of camera density, and they need to be a mile apart and so on, instead of some of them being 60 miles apart. But it goes into the system design, network design, decisions.
I have no questions.
And it's interesting to see that picture, so as to know the mode of transmission and then.
check it. And we get to that later. Let's go over what we offer. We discussed this earlier. Let me mention this. There's a consortium of companies that Travis this. And since we did not want to invent the wheel, we have to make sure that every equipment manufacturer was field tested and has equipment deployed in a Homeland Security facility. Like the company you saw the video for us. The next couple of slides have to do with technology overview of our systems. A wireless system, we are up to OC12. OC12 is, how many people know what this is? Okay. OC12 is what the telephone company uses to describe the amount of traffic that network can carry. OC12 is like 622 megabits per second. Your regular phone line is I think 60. As for reliability, 6 nines availability.
6 nines.
Yes, 6 nines. 9 nines. Yes.
Like the fiber optics.
Yes. Okay. Point to point, listen, if you're going to deploy here in Abuja and go there, some of our radios go on to 16.
Now, I want to talk about six nines. In this country, we have thunder stroke here and there.
Yes.
And, well, maybe you're referring to the US. Because as far as you're concerned here, like we have in our network, okay, at every junction is possibility of NEPA failure. Okay. We have thunders, strikes, and strike many equipment. How do you protect the system against things like that? For NEPA, that is understandable. You're talking about solar,
Yes.
right? But in case of thunder, how would you protect that?
Thunder is an act of God. That means you cannot predict where it's going to strike. But at least you try to protect your system as much as possible. In a severe thunderstorm area, I'm not sure what the frequency of failure would be. But in the southern part of the United States, Louisiana, Texas, and so on, where a lot of the oil fields are, we also have a lot of thunderstorms and a lot of rain, so on, and lightning. So, but in Nigeria, I'm not sure. But I would assume probably if it falls from 6 9, probably falls to 4 9, so depending on the MTTR, the MTTR level. 3 9s is still pretty good. Usually time to fix it. We mentioned the near line of sight technology.
Oh, there is the MTTR. Yeah.
MTTR.
Okay, maybe MTDR.
MTDR. MTDR depends on the engine. Also, the engine MTDR is pretty long and nothing happens. I can give you that information, but it's pretty long.
In the case of the US, yes, we know that in southern US you also have a similar weather.
Yes.
It's over 30 degrees centigrade. 30 degrees centigrade. Your design takes that into consideration.
In Houston, in Texas, you have temperatures of 100 and something. Before you sell anything in the US, you're supposed to test this thing out before you claim it. Otherwise, you'll be out. have. They do describe it pretty well. And this bridge here is a replacement for, or backup for this line here. And again, this is the 12 is 620 megabits per second. Quite cheap. I'm not going to read through them, but you can read through them after the issue. These are some of the offerings you have. Again, there's something in there. If you had to extend your fiber, let's say you have certain locations between certain cities that you don't have fiber, you'd like to have, but there's not enough money yet to string the fiber. If you want to string fiber in the first place, considering the cost. We could use our radios quite well as a backup to the backbone. They're quite a lot cheaper and quite a lot easier to deploy. Could be deployed in weeks. And you know how long it takes to trench fiber and lay.
What's the name of the radios?
Excuse me?
The make of those radios?
It's a major company.
Major?
Yes. But I'm not sure I can give the name right now.
And what's the distance?
Distance could be up to 60 miles for the long range.
What frequency?
Okay, I can give 5.8. But you can tune in your frequency. But the traditional use is 5.8 gigahertz. Yes, please.
Sorry, is it really a point-to-point or point-to-multipoint? Your type of business? Point-to-point.
Yes, but you have point to multiple.
Okay. So what frequency do you really obtain?
For which one?
For the radio system, the point-to-point? Or what frequency exactly?
I have to take them out of here. There is 5.8.
Okay. Are they microwave radios?
That's technology. There are other frequencies. It used to be 2.4, and that's the user in the US, but it's so private.
0.4 gigahertz?
Yes. You know, so the newer technologies are moving to higher frequencies. It just gives you the rest of our radios. Cameras. We discussed it some of this at length, but let me just mention, let me discuss this enough. And thermal sensing, it's very useful in the delta area, in the forest area, for instance. It still sends out the same signals that somebody's there. But it tells you somebody takes picture through leaves, through vegetation. We discussed this at length already, but let me also re-emphasize that we could monitor your system from the US if you wanted to. I don't know why you want us to, but for any reason you want us to monitor your pipeline from the US, we could do it as a backup system. You want it. And we discussed this, This is important to the guys who protect, who have to do the protection, the apprehension. They have to be able to get the same information that you get on your desktop on the network operating center. They have to get it on the ships and the helicopters, whatever the case may be. And they can receive that through the same technology that sends it to you.
Because your camera by chance interferes with the satellite to enable you monitor at such long distances.
To interact or to interfere.
I said, does it interface with satellites in the form of satellite? Because
Yes,
you can monitor from US, you can monitor from there. By what means? Does it interface with satellites?
Okay. It's the reason you can monitor from the US is because you can this IP protocol. This internet technology.
Where is the camera connected to?
Okay. Let's see. To be connected here.
To what? To what use of transmission?
Okay. Then the signal gets sent to wireless, to Ethernet bridge, or whatever it is that to the wireless radio network. And the network goes to the internet. So it essentially works with internet. It's like any other internet device.
What's the distance?
Oh, there is no distance.
There's no distance.
Yeah.
The signal can get to any internet at any distance.
As long as you get there and access the internet, it's safe for everyone. Anyway.
We're wondering then why Bin Laden is still elusive. Why Bin Laden is still elusive.
Because they don't know where he is. You have to be able to locate it. If they mounted a camera and happen to walk by, they will know where he is. That the camera has to be there.
I'm kind of trying to close up onto which
Okay. This is a schematic representation of the type of the system, we have audio channels. This light here indicates an alarm. And yeah, sensors, various sensors, vibrational sensors, image sensors, cameras, lights, and so on. All this put into a system. And the ash side here indicates IP access, internet access. And you can watch it anywhere. San Diego, Hawaii, Nigeria. Anywhere. Yes.
Are those specimens of the type of cameras you want to deploy?
Oh, that's just a picture of the camera. And there are different cameras.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that if you look at the terrain of our pipeline
Yes.
and the pipeline network in this country, I have been really wondering how you can deploy such a camera and it will be very safe. You understand what I mean?
Okay, don't pay much attention to this particular representation. There are cameras that look like switch boxes. There are cameras that look like poles, with nothing to it. Just the enclosure of the camera is something for engineers to focus. Could be like a light bulb, could be anything. So as long as the detection system is there.
Perhaps natural design you might be able to see. Because we're still wondering our minimum distance between our pump stations is about 100, more than 120 kilometers. And even though we have marker posts within variable distances, the real saboteurs pull down the marker post. So unless your radios
somebody pulls down the marker post, most of the problem, remember, most of the losses that you have is really not that there's been a bunch in your pipeline or somebody vandalizes. It's the length of time that it takes to detect that something is happening. And the deterrence, somebody, right now, they'll get away with, anybody can get away with anything. However, if there's a deterrence, somebody knows if I do this, next tomorrow somebody's going to come to my house and pick me up. That's a serious deterrence. However, more importantly, the moment that happens, somebody tries to take out a camera, you will know. Somebody's trying to take out, to do something to this system. Send somebody down there, send the helicopter down, send the Air Force, whatever the case may be. It's a matter of minutes. Okay. And take out us. We'll be done in about another 5 minutes. So what's the strategy? Anything we discuss here is preliminary. You actually sit down, there's a scope of work defined, and we can actually give things more concrete terms. But the strategy, from my perspective, is to use existing infrastructure where possible. You have a lot of satellite stations. You can use it for video, you can use it for sensors, and you can use it for mapping. But the first thing you need to do, battery system, is to provide an electronic mapping of your network so that it can be pulled up anywhere. There's a software program that does that. Okay. And since the pipeline traverses a lot of different geographical areas, from the swamps to the savannah up, the best strategy is to divide that into geographical segments and then treat them separately, independently. We can go into a lot of details later on this, but that's what should be done. And you have to put a lot of work into the network design. How many cameras go into one local access? No. So how many nodes do you want to put into one hub, regional hub, and so on? Because it's from these regional hubs that you send through the big pipe to wherever it is. The deployment architecture, since the terrain varies so much from one end to the other, it has to be custom. Yeah, like going back to the geographical segmentation that I was talking about. Yeah, everything has to be custom. This area, this field, this is how many cameras and how many radios I need at these distances and so on. This is how many point-to-multipoint system I need to have, and so on. So, and I mentioned earlier, I'm using your satellite for data transmission. This is a topic I'm sure all of you are very familiar with, so I'm not going into a lot of details about it. But it's not easy. The mangrove regions are particularly demanding. But I also noticed that you have radios deployed there already. So even though your radios might come from different manufacturers and so on, different properties, the infrastructure for deploying those radios are already there. So there is that experience in doing it. So wherever possible, we would use your towers and so on, if not light poles, wherever structures would be. Okay. We're almost done. Now, one thing I've noticed about Nigeria, we're all Nigerians here, is that foreigners will come, bring very fancy equipment, and install them, turnkey, and turn them loose. 6 months later, they're shut. You have to go around looking, getting them replaced, fixed, repaired. Well, only the foreigners can fix it, usually. Not here. I might be an American citizen, owning an American company, but I was born in New York. I'm a Nigerian. I've lived through the same problems and it pisses me off regularly. So in this strategy, with a lot of extensive training, you have to be trained. Everybody involved in here will be trained. In Nigeria and in the US. There's no point bringing foreigners here to fix things when you can fix them yourself. And I need to mention this. Again, usually you buy things because they look nice and they work very well at the time. But what happens, somebody forgot to tell you that it's getting obsolete. You need to upgrade. You need to get rid of those things. Not here. Frequently, whenever there's an upgrade, you can access it. There'll be a website. So any engineer could send that information to us and say, well, you can access it and find out about the upgrade yourself. And more importantly, you can send information to us and say, well, this unit is having this kind of problem. And you say, well, this is a patch, or this is a fix. I'm going to replace it for you for free, or any of those things. That you will never be caught by surprise, but you'll never be stranded with that system. Since you don't maintain the pipelines, I'll not mention this one. I mean, you don't do P1 pipelines. This is telecom, so I'll not mention it. But it's not any less important. And there's a whole area we have gone into, but that's not the area. But what is usually done with pipelines, constant monitoring, sending robots through the pipeline system, measuring what the thicknesses are, where the eroded, corroded parts of the pipes are, where it's likely to break before it happens. Any of these things that usually should be done. And whether they're done or they're not done, that's not your area. Okay. We've come to the end of the presentation. So what are our future plans? Well, before I came here, there was something I wanted to do. I wanted to use this equipment here and have you watch any part of Abuja, or maybe Lagos. Unfortunately, the manufacturer only certified it. It's only certified the US GSM for 850 megahertz, and we run 900 megahertz. So that was not possible to do that. And he told me last Thursday that it's going to testing, and within 3 weeks that will be possible. So when I come back here, and I'll be able to show that to you. So you'll be able to see in the camera picture from wherever you want to put the camera at. And it acts as a cell phone. So wherever you can call a cell phone, you can call it. What I'm trying to point out here is, again, reflects the technology that we have. You can look at an isolated oil well if that's what interests you. You can look at an isolated platform, that's what interests you, on your palm, on your PDA. Okay. Okay, yes, it is summary to discuss it later. Probably, this is something of the heart. I should mention this. One of the reasons that we have this vandalism is, I might be wrong, but it's nothing new. It happens in Iraq, happens in Thailand, wherever there is oil. For some reason, God has arranged it that the people who have oil, that oil should be in less developed areas. That's the way it is. Okay. So the people who have the land and so on feel left out. Right? Each of our base units has 6,000, a capacity of 6,000 subscriber units. So what are you going to do with all that capacity? It's lying there wasted, not used. To give telephone and internet service to the villages that the pipeline passes through. All of a sudden, there's development. People feel they're getting something from the pipeline, going through their territory, and they have a sense of community belonging and ownership. Again, it doesn't cost anything, more or less. Technology is there, the capacity is there. That's a hard one. Yes.
No, that's last slide for you.
Oh, sorry.
We're talking about you have up to 6,000 subscriber units. Let's take us back to a place like Bayelsa. Will the subscribers be able to call into the network or just within the locality?
Oh, yes, you'll send a point, it's a point-to-multipoint system. So you'll send, whether for Canada, you send a point-to-point. don't know how far I can take it.
After Port Harcourt, it's quite far.
Oh, okay, so I'm getting by, like I said, mixed up with Bayelsa.
Okay.
Oh, point to point, so, yes.
So what we're saying, we're talking about social responsibility of the company
Yes,
to the locality.
yes.
Now you connect this to the people. Who pays for the usage of this?
It's
The people are poor.
the people are poor. I know that. But you bought the system. I mean, the system is they're using the system to transmit your video and voice and so on, data and sensor information and so on. So the capital expenditure has been made. Okay. Access to the system is like $100 per subscriber unit or something per customer thing, somebody's house. Okay. I don't know. And then it's not like satellite. Satellite you have to pay like $9,000 per E1, the 2 megabit, something like that, or maybe more in Nigeria. And you're not paying for bandwidth on the way; it's already paid for. Yeah.
Yeah, because the subscribers will have to pass through other people's switches. Who pays for the access?
I really want to go there. If you wanted to discuss this at length, you could make tons of money. NNPC could make enough money to pay for its investments. As you very well know, the state of telecom backbone in Nigeria is really poor. You need to look at MTN backbone map. I think this is on his website or something. And then look at NNPC system. I'm sure, at least where you deliver services. I mean, you'll sit down and scratch yourself, making tons of money. Just selling access to the cell phone.
Yeah, because in my case, that could be a selling point.
Yeah.
We used to say that, management used to say that NNPC, core business of NNPC is not telecommunication.
Oh.
But that point now can be a selling point to the system. When NNPC could still make
Duke Energy makes tons of money. Duke Energy makes 40% of its revenue from telecom. Because you have all this stuff. I don't know where you have all the systems set up. Just lying there. So, NNPC can make 40. It's not just oil. And if I might tell you, NEPA is trying to do the same thing. And because I'm not sure how Nitel is, but Nitel is, that's its core business. So if NEPA is trying to do the same thing, I'm sure NNPC with its already established telecom infrastructure will bring a lot more.
How can this be integrated with our existing system? You seem to know our system very well already. How can this be integrated with our existing system?
Okay, I'll get back to you on that. It might sound like I don't know that much. What I was hoping to do was ask more detailed questions. Remember when I was trying to ask him, is this correct? Is this so and so on? If I had a more detail about your system, then I can sit down overnight and so on and write up something there. But just off the top from basically what I know is this. From the years I know earlier on in the discussion. Okay. First, you have a very substantial satellite system. You can't use that for video. You cannot. You have to see whether what can be done. Now, failing that, but you can still use that. I expect to use that satellite system for the mapping. You need to have an accurate mapping of your pipeline. But remember, when this thing happens, let's say somebody strolls into the right of way and sets up a sensor. It says the alarm kicks on. The way the alarm will be displayed will be on the screen with the map. Okay. The map shows up there. And once Bob will start alarming. So you double click on that point on the map, and it brings up a larger window and shows, oh, this is happening at Ugeli or whatever place may be. And this is the geographical coordinates. So all that comes, the basic foundation for that is you have to have a very accurate map on the system. And that comes from the server to do that. It's one thing. Secondly, I know very little about your radio, but I'm not sure how many of those we can still use. I mean, you can use this, but the infrastructure, the towers and everything is there. Okay. And we have a whole range of these cameras and so on, radios, a whole range of radios from point to point, double capacity that 90 of us can have. Even the SAT-3 undersea cable, that's an information. 622, I saw a city area that was 960 megabit per second transmission. That is extremely huge. Okay. So, and they don't cost a fortune. It costs, at this point I don't want to tell what the actual cost is, but it's not a huge fortune. So you can just, it's a matter of take down this radio, put this radio on the mast, set it up, and use it. Your fiber can still, fiber is going to do a lot of things with fiber, so they're still going to be there as a primary system where it exists. Where it does not exist, there's a fiber replacement. This is essentially point-to-point system between two locations. So there's a lot. We have a very rich system that we need to get into. All right.
Because my problem is that our system is mainly European-based. We adopt European standard. And if we have to integrate your American system to another, there has to be a lot of interfacing problems.
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that at all. We have a lot of our radios also used in Europe, so another part of the world.
Or do you manufacture for Europe?
Oh yes. I mean, anybody wants to be in business has to be able to manufacture for every part of the world. Yeah. And internet is internet is internet. Yeah. Okay. I think that's it. The last page kind of tells you some of our customers. And in fact, this is, well, that's my address, local contents. Like I said before, a lot of the work will be done by Nigerians and can be trained both here in the US. Okay. Again, thank you very much for your attention. I'm open to other questions.
Here we have 2,000 kilometers cable pipeline.
Yeah.
And what we're saying that maybe after certain kilometers, I don't know how many kilometers, we'll have a camera, maybe attached with a radio. Huh?
The camera.
Exactly. Now, I'm just wondering, like say for example, if you take 10 kilometers,
Okay.
how many cameras do you think?
Okay. It's different from, that's right, depending on the geographical segments. In Abuja, going to the north, it really doesn't matter, because you can choose to have a fixed focus, you can have some fixed focus cameras, that is. Nothing is going to happen really there, so you don't really care about zooming in unnecessarily. So you mount one camera every 3 or 4 miles or so, and it monitors that and so on. Now, if something happens, it's going to do some adjustments. In the Delta area, okay, you can choose more complicated cameras, and some PTZ, something that can pan, tilt, zoom, and so on. That gives you a mile. You have that much distance. Or again, if it's a heavily forested area, you're going to have, your decision is going to be decided by the terrain, really.
But then our attention then will turn into the security of the camera and the radio system.
Excuse me?
Then our attention will now focus on the security of the camera itself.
The security?
Yes, because it's an equipment that it should be mounted there, you know, and together with the radio system, you know.
I wish. Unfortunately, I didn't bring a whole lot of cameras.
You go to North Carolina,
yeah. The deployment depends. It's very variable types of deployment, but it could be like a pole, it could be on a mast, could be like that the camera doesn't exist. Okay, let's say you have a small pole like this, and the top of that pole looks painted, just like a regular pole. But what you know is that somewhere in that pole is a camera. And I'm sure along the road you have some utility boxes and so on. It look like. I can bring you brochures to look at. But it's not one type of deployment. Believe me, we thought this, those have thought this is good. I'm good. Yes, please.
Yeah, we see that.
Well, there are two areas I'm really worried about. The first one is where he has not specified. The pipeline right of way in America or wherever it's being used is very different from the type we have there. Here, a lot of people pass through the right of way. We have cattle bearers who just pass and they see the camera and they think it's going to harm their cow and get it done as they've been cutting our cable. Then we have a frequency problem. You mentioned about around 2.4 gigahertz. All those areas they are like a very confused market in Nigeria because there are a lot of pirates, frequency pirates, operating in this country. Even some equipment are being sold in this country by just testing with spectrum analyzer to know whether that spectrum is free in that area for the day. You know? So
let me take the frequency one first. That's probably the question. I'm going to address the camera and the camera frequency. Last year, I went to get a frequency license from FCC, and I wanted 2.4 gigahertz. I said, no, there's too much interference. They don't give that frequency. Well, believe it or not, some of these radios is 2.4, and believe me, it's more crowded in the US than it is here. Take my word for it. So there's a lot of anti-interference algorithms that's been going into this. It's a very sophisticated system. Okay, so that takes care of the frequency. It'll be a long time before Nigeria gets as crowded as the US. It's a very long time. Okay, so that. And the security of the cameras, we go out to the field. It's pretty simple. I mean, the deployment could be on a pole, electric pole. You could set up your own system. It could be custom made. But again, it's a matter of deterrence. Again, now somebody can go and bang on it and get away with it. Cut some moves on. When this happens, the moment somebody goes there, gets near to the camera, this picture is being taken. So even if it's a cattle bearer and end up in his village, you show up. What were you doing here? This is you. Word spreads, and if you touch this thing, by some reason, by some way nobody's been able to figure out, they'll come to your house and pick you up. A lot of deterrence. Okay.
Now we see that in the list of the current users, you have the US Air Force, the US Navy, US Army, and so on and so forth. Apart from the Department of Transportation, we know that the Department of Transportation in the US work hand in hand with the police. The US Department of Agriculture, perhaps too, works hand in hand with the police. What are the issue of patents?
Patents?
Yes. we see that it's mainly employed in the military and paramilitary.
Oh, no, I just stood here because I decided that we had two partners. When you saw the video, also you saw Chevron is a customer. The that page that has pictures and stuff in there. Major lot of things. Partners is not the issue. It is the company that actually owns the product, owns the patent, and sells it to anybody else. The US government doesn't own patents. They can buy as any other customer. See, that's the difference between the US and a lot of other countries. Everything is private in the US. Even when the government spends billions of dollars to develop a drug and sells it, and the drug company sells it, the drug company sells it for profit. Doesn't give it away. I mean, that's just the way it is. Everything is private. Every single bullet that's fired is made by a private company. And it could be sold anywhere in the world to make money. Yes. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, then, on behalf of the GM, we want to thank the Travis Telecommunications Limited for the beautiful demonstration. I believe that you'll make a copy of your presentation available to us officially so we can get this to pass this on to the department. We'll get to you as we study it, see how this will be applicable to our system. Then from then on we'll come to you. But we wish you could, we have, this department has the telecommunication system, but the issue of monitoring the pipeline is actually that of the games. Maybe if you get in contact with the games, be able to work hand in hand with us to realize this project. We know that we lose billions to vandalism, sabotage, professional pipeline and all that. We lose, apart from their cost estimation, the restoration of the pipeline or people and so on, we also lose a lot in terms of the loss of revenue and oil waste and pollution. It's very important to the country from the way you presented it. And it might be of interest. We don't know how soon the government will react to this, but we do what we can to see it move. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
If I could have the